The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
Welcome to another segment of the UCW Radio Show, and this is your host, Lou, aka Falcon Coparis, and I want to thank all of our listeners for your continued support just by listening to the show. We do appreciate it, because without you guys, we wouldn't have a show, and as I said before, it's no fun having a show with one listener. That wouldn't be a good thing. In just a little while, we're going to have a great author on the show with us today, but before we bring him on, we need to go over some things on the show. Sponsors. We opened up the doors for sponsorship opportunities, so advertisers, marketers that want to tie in to the UCW radio show, no better time than the present. We have a lot of great things going on. We're increasing syndication. We're working on some special projects that I really can't talk about right now, but we have a lot of great things going on, and in the coming weeks, we're just going to get better and better and better and better. And hey, not a bad show to be aligned with. But one thing that I can talk about is something that I'm proud of. We were tagged to do the Ultimate Body radio show. And basically, it's connected to the Ultimate Body reality TV show. Now, let me go into some stuff with the Ultimate Body TV show so that our listeners can find out more. You guys can hear more about it, because it is, I guess, it's groundbreaking. Because you have The Biggest Loser, you have all these reality shows on TV. Brady this. Rock Love that, and so on and so forth. And if you see all these people that were on these shows, whether it be Adrian Curry and so on and so forth, they may have had some fame in their life, but they became quote-unquote rock stars due to the show, them being on the show. And even The Biggest Loser, even when Dr. Phil had his show, and even those competitors had their share of fame. Now, this is an opportunity, but the great part about this is that you become healthy, and you actually can build a career on this, not just a reality show career, but an actual career in bodybuilding. Now, the Ultimate Body TV reality show, it comes from the mind of David Lyons. He's a great guy. He's the producer of Hog Heaven, and the animated feature Creepers. And he's the president, CEO of Lions Entertainment. And he came up with this whole concept. See, because he has an interesting story. I consider him an inspirational person. I hold him in the highest regards because he did something interesting beyond what he's done in his life. He's been through ups and downs, but his biggest wall that he hit when he was in his mid-40s, and he was diagnosed with MS. And as opposed to him going down for the count, sitting in a corner crying, and this is a guy that never competed in bodybuilding ever, decided to compete, and he did well. And in the Florida State bodybuilding championships, he did well. This is with full-blown MS. Go figure. That's the intestinal fortitude that he has, and his vision for the show is incredible, and I like it. He linked up with the producer of The Osbournes, The Surreal Life, Meet My Folks, all these shows that you're familiar with Lauren Alvarez. And basically, the Ultimate Body is going to be the next coming. And this is not just a one-shot deal that you have one season. All right, I'm predicting now that this thing is going to be it's going to have the longevity of a Big Brother or of an American Idol thing, but more so along the lines of Big Brother, okay, because the house situation and so on and so forth, which I'm going to go through in a second, how everything goes with the show. But again, I think it's great. You're going to have, and these are the broad strokes on it, okay, because this show is not going to be a pushover type of situation. All right, the people that are involved that will be on the show, this show is going to push them to the limit, to the boundaries of their of fitness and discipline and everything is going to really push them to that level. And you're going to have 13 men and 13 women, and they're going to be put through a vigorous physical training, dieting, the whole 9 yards. They're going to be going through all of this stuff, and the winners of the reality show, hey, they're both going to earn 50 grand. 50 grand. Amateur bodybuilders make 50 nothing. If they make 50 cents, you're lucky, because they're not getting endorsements. They're losing money on the deal, and that's a reality. Because they have to buy their supplements, they have to go train at the gym. They're putting all the time into it. Sure, they're getting themselves, healthy, but until they go national or go pro or get their pro card, them making money is not there. And really, who's going to endorse them with any substance? So they're going to have to keep on a day job to do all that stuff. So this actually gives you the opportunity to make 50 grand, get international exposure, because whoever wins the show, not only do they get the money, they are going to have a photo spread in Muscle Magazine International, and they're going to be a whole bunch of different prizes. Okay, and it's interesting, and actually the grand prize is provided by Anytime Fitness. It's a gym chain, and also Gaspari Nutrition, which anyone that knows anything about bodybuilding, that's owned and operated, founded by the great Rich Gaspari. He's done a lot of amazing things. Now the show is going to have an open casting call on Saturday, October 17th from 11 to 6 at night at the Ramada Orlando Celebration Resort and Convention Center. That's located at 635 West Earlo Bronson Highway, Kissimmee, Florida. Now, here's their website, because you have to go on there. You have to fill out an application. And again, anyone that is involved, that's interested in getting their health together, that's interested in embarking on a true bodybuilding career, this opportunity, you will not, trust me when I say this to you, you will not ever have an opportunity like this anywhere. Because you can go train. You can go to your gym, train, buy your nutritional supplements, go and do all that stuff. And you know something? You can do that for the next 5-10 years, and until you go pro, you're not making any money. So you have, within a 10 to 13 week time frame, you have the opportunity to get national exposure, because you're on TV. People are seeing you going through this training process, seeing your body form into what it's going to be. You're going to be provided with, you'll be living in a mansion in the Orlando area. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal whatsoever. Okay? And also, you're going to, if you live in that area, you're not going to have to give up your job or leave your family to be on the show. And if you live in the Kissimmee, Orlando area, then you're good to go. And you're going to train like you never trained before in your life. It's just going to push you. As I said, it's going to push you to the limits. Okay? And on top of that, you're going to have all the nutritional supplements provided to you. You don't have to go out there and pay for that stuff, okay? Because that stuff will be provided to you, and there's no crazy things involved. It's fairly simple. You go in, you stay in the mansion, you train like an animal, you get your body together, then you start competing on the show. And then there'll be eliminations and the whole 9 yards. And at the end of the day, whoever wins the whole thing, and you'll have professional judges there, okay? And some of the judges that you will have there, you'll have the Mr. World and what was it? The Mr. World and Mr. USA titles. He won those, and he is the voice of the Mr. Olympia. That's Bob Cicciarillo. Okay, he signed on as a host. On the judges, you have IFBB Bikini Pro. She's a top fitness model. She's the spokesman for Gaspari Nutrition. Marcia Prince, she's gonna be there. You're gonna have a Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame bodybuilding legend Rich Gaspari. He's gonna be the guest judge. You're gonna have the natural Mr. Universe, Mr. America, and Mr. California all wrapped up in one. We had him on the show, Doug Burns. They all signed on as judges. So how do you go wrong? Okay, and on top of that, you are going to do what? You're going to live in a mansion, have your food provided to you, have your vitamins, your nutritional supplements provided to you. You're not paying for rent, you're not paying for electricity, you're not paying for anything. Okay, you're not paying to train. You're going to have a doctor, chiropractor. Okay, you're going to have all these people working. You're going to have a machine. This is the stuff, just so you know, this is the stuff that someone, even pro bodybuilders don't have all of this, but you will. You know, this is like an Oprah fantasy health situation. And again, you get to win. You have the ability or the chance or the opportunity to win 50 grand. Again, I urge anyone that's looking to do this, and you can even build a career on it, get involved. It doesn't cost you anything to get involved. You go down there, you be a part of the show, and I promise you this, that you will get recognition for what you're doing. And I have no doubt about it. And on top of that, you guys, beyond meeting all these people, you're going to be able to meet little old me, because you will at some point get on the UCW radio show and talk to me, because we are hosting the Ultimate Body radio show, so we will have a conversation at some point. So that makes it even more interesting. So you'll get more publicity out of the deal. Now, the website is theultimatebodytvshow.com. Go there, fill out the application. The final audition is, as I said, I'm going to repeat myself, is Saturday, October 17th from 11 to 6. You miss that, you're out until the next season, which is not going to be this year, not going to be next year, it's going to be the year after. So you're going to miss that opportunity. And my advice, if you're involved in this, if you want to do it, I would definitely do it. Okay, and get involved. Now, I have to mention some other people that are part of the show. Okay, that we have Brad Homan. Okay, he's a orthopedic and sports medicine director. And actually, let me correct that. He is the Celebration Florida's Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Institute's director of sports medicine and chief of surgery and all. The guy has a big resume here. He has too much stuff going on. But he's going to be there, and he'll be monitoring stuff. You're going to have chiropractors. One chiropractor is Dr. Ben Lerner. And then who else? Oh, he's also an author. Go figure. Okay, he had a New York Times bestseller, Body by God. Interesting. So, again, you have an opportunity. All right, the website is theultimatebodytvshow.com. Do it for yourself. Have a chance to cash in on this. And again, if you have a thing that you want to be a reality show star, and you don't want to look, how can I say it? You don't want to look ridiculous to the world, and you want to do something positive and not do anything out of control, well, here you go. Get yourself healthy. And now, before we bring in our guests, I need to let our listeners know something else. Today is the red carpet premiere of Lynch Mob the movie. So Rachel and Scott Stamper, they were the screenwriters on it. You had Byron Irwin. We had him on the show yesterday, and he is the director. And if you live in the outskirts of Atlanta, I think it's Conyers, Georgia, go to the Carmack Theater. Go check it out. Be a part of the red carpet event, because it's not often that you have a red carpet event like this in the outskirts of Georgia. Usually it would be New York or L.A. So take the opportunity, because the next time that you'll be able to meet or have an event like this that you can actually attend and have all the media around and feel like a superstar is now, if you live in that area. Because the next time, who knows? I don't know what movies are being made in Georgia. Okay, I don't know what movies are being made in Atlanta. We don't have them on the show. So if we don't have them on the show, I mean, obviously, no offense, it really doesn't mean anything to us. We had Lynch Mob on the show because we feel that this is going to be a cult classic. So check it out. And their website is lynchmobmovie.com. Now, I have to give you some additional information. We want our listeners to be a part of the show, so you can actually call us with your questions, your comments, stuff like that. We want to hear from you. Our number is 323-952-4369. That's 323-952-4369. So sometimes we'll be live, sometimes we'll be on location, whatever the case may be. If you get your questions to us beforehand, we can pose them to our guest. If we're live, sometimes we take call-ins, but when that happens, it's usually chaos because we have too many things going on, especially if we're on location. So unless you're in front of us, it'd be hard to get that done. So again, the number is 323-952-4369. And let me just repeat this, that the UCW radio show has opened the doors to sponsorship partnerships. We are the official host of the Ultimate Body radio show that's associated with, as I've been speaking about, the Ultimate Body TV reality show, the next big thing on TV. The show is going to be a hit. So marketers, advertisers, you want to hook up with the UCW radio show, this is the time. Not in a month, not in 6 months, not, well, let me see, because you're going to miss an opportunity because we're not coming to you. You have to come to us. So UCWmagazine.com is where you can find more information and reach out to us. Give us a jingle. Let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. And if you're on Twitter, you can shoot me out some questions and comments for our guest. We have a lot of special guests coming on the show, from professional bodybuilders, fitness people, fitness competitors, models, authors, what else? Actors, directors, producers. We have all types of people, entertainment people, coming on the show. And we even have corporations coming on the show. We had True Blood, the drink, on the show. Okay, we had Demora Motors on the show, Motorcars on the show. We have a whole host of other companies coming on the show. So that is also something that we added to the mix, and we're continuing to evolve because the show is not anywhere near where we want it to be, but we're getting there. So stick with us, and you'll see the growth, and you'll see where we go, and be there for the ride, for the journey, because the journey is going to be great. And UCW Radio Show is going to be here for some time to come, so you want to be a part of it. And my Twitter name, before I forget, is Louis Velazquez. That's LouisVelazquez. Follow me and tweet away. Now, without further ado, let's patch in the author of 9 Lives, Frank Say. Frank, it's great to have you on the UCW radio show. Thanks for being with us. It's a pleasure having you on here.
Thanks, Lou. Thanks for having me on.
You're more than welcome. We always appreciate the time. I say this time and time again, but I have to, because we do appreciate the time that I guess put aside for us, because most people are busy. It's great to be able to provide that platform to tell your story. Now, Frank, growing up, just to give our listeners broad strokes, just like every other kid out there, you had dreams of being everything or anything from a firefighter to a doctor, a lawyer, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you became an author. Now, that's not something that happens every day with everybody. And I'm just interested in your whole journey from the time there was clarity that you wanted to be an author. What were you doing before then, and the clarity, and how things progressed. So, if you don't mind, before we get into your book, 9 Lives, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a lot about that. I want to talk about your journey because our listeners like hearing that. So, what were you doing before you became an author?
Before, I was becoming an author, and I still have what they call "quote unquote" day job list. So, I was doing customer service work for like major companies that deal with the public.
Okay. what point did you decide that, hey, you know what? I think I want to write a book.
Well, I never really did. It was never my choice to do so. I have a little bit of that on my website. I never intended to be an author at any one time. It's not anything that I ever even thought about. As far as, fireman or astronaut when I was a kid, but, as I grew older, I thought, it would be nice to be in, media in some form, either in TV or movies or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe behind the scene, like working, the technical bit. An author itself actually never entered my mind. In fact, I was such an absolute horrible student, for the most part through high school and college that,
well, at least you're man enough to admit it.
Yeah. I couldn't, I didn't like it. It didn't like me. If you would have told me, that I would write more than a 3-paragraph, essay, for English Literature 101, I would have just walked away from it. It just sounded too unbelievable. What happened with the book, though, I had an idea for a story that came to me. And I knew then I was dating my wife at the time, friend, a daughter, knew a few people that were, had been writing either short stories or poetry or something. And I said, here, what do you think about this for an idea for a book? And they said, well, that sounds interesting. And, because I had absolutely no desire, to write this or no idea how to write this. Mm-hmm. So I threw the idea out there and it sort of went out there and nothing ever came of it. So, I eventually, after talking with, my wife, she said, well, why don't you see, what you can do with it? I'm like, well, okay. And I was absolutely clueless. So I did what, I thought would normally be done from English Literature 101, way back when, is you do an outline. Mm-hmm. And from there, that's how it all started.
Okay, you started with the outline. So actually you did learn something in school.
Yeah. You only hear that right here, though. I'll never admit to that any other time.
Okay. So you took that, you created an outline, for what, for what would be 9 Lives, what, the book that you finally, came out with. But, it took you time. It wasn't like, okay, well, I'm going to write this, I'm going to be done in a week.
Right.
Can you go through the process of writing a novel or writing something like you did with 9 Lives? Because I think our listeners, they see the end result, and I say this often, that they see the end result, whether it be a movie, television, a book, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole process involved getting to that point, getting to the end result.
Right. It's interesting. Somewhere in between or right before I started the process, I remember seeing or reading a portion out of Stephen King has a book on writing, and one of the main things that he mentions in there is that somewhere down the line, everybody has read either a short story or a novel and said, you know what, I can do at least as good as this person. And if you've ever, thought of that, then, maybe, you could be a writer. Mm-hmm. Maybe, and so that's, and I've known that, myself, because I've done, quite a bit of reading in the past, and a lot of, some of the things that I've written, I said, well, I probably could do, at least as well. The funny part about it was, when I started it, and originally 9 Lives, and I have the original version, which is in three like sewn together type notebooks that you see, the collegiate type notebooks. That's the original version, and written down in pencil. I just was starting as an outline, and as I began writing the outline, it became more and more a story, and it just began to flow that way. Mm-hmm. Instead of writing down, an outline for chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3, it just started flowing with the scenes and everything. I didn't know anything about the mechanics of writing. The only thing I knew about writing is from what I read, and what I read from different authors. And basically I copied that particular type of style of formulating a sentence, formulating a dialogue between two characters, formulating the setup of the scene prior to, the main action starting. I just went with it that way. It actually became quite natural, which is overall probably the strangest part of the journey itself, is that when I finally started getting into writing it, I realized I actually enjoyed writing. That's not as, ominous or foreboding as it really, I would have honestly thought it was. I'm glad I actually didn't give it too much thought while I was in the middle of it, because I probably would have backed out of it. But it actually became an enjoyable process.
Okay, but you had to. I mean, it wasn't. It was enjoyable, but at the same time, it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. A lot of things I had to learn, sort of, Nine Lives. Although I'm, proud of the book itself, there's a lot of things that I probably would have done differently with the book itself, but not knowing a lot of, different processes, it came out to be where it is. I'm extremely happy with the book as it is right now.
Right.
The mechanics of writing it and creating the story and so forth, different things like that, which I had to learn, as I went on too.
Okay.
So that was a little bit of a struggle.
Well, I mean, you became a self-taught author. That's what it came down to. You taught yourself how to go about doing it, and you created it. But I think that probably, what happens when you're in your situation, you're writing a book, you're becoming an author, you're doing this, and you're also holding down a full-time job. Time becomes an issue. Because if you have your family, this and that, so it becomes an issue having the time to actually sit there and write it.
Well, of course, I think it's at least in my case, it was more or less just a pastime.
Mm-hmm.
It's more or less a hobby, and I would go through my normal day, and then at the end of the day, before I retired and went to sleep, I would actually spend an hour to an hour and a half scribbling away in a collegiate, notebook
Mm-hmm.
of the different scenes that I was setting up, for that evening. So, and just writing the story out.
But it's amazing being a creative person, and I mean, people that aren't creative can't relate to it, but I can, especially when you're writing. Once you get and you put you're typing into something and you get into that flow, it just goes. It just keeps going. You can sit there for hours not even thinking about it and just keep typing and writing, and then your mind wanders and you start going. It's but when you have that break, and sometimes when you want to sit down, you say, okay, I'm going to go write another chapter or write a few pages. You sit down and nothing comes out.
Right. I mean, and that's that's just the process itself. It's as elusive as anything else. Sometimes it just pours out, and other times it's like, like trying to wrestle a very large animal to the ground and, trap it. You never know what's going to happen when you sit down. Even when I have the best intentions, wake up early in the morning, get the coffee ready, everybody's out of the house, I have the whole day to myself, and, I spend the majority of, the morning struggling over a paragraph that, I can't seem to finish. So, take it as it comes.
Yeah, that's it. But then, you struggle with that, then you sit down, you watch an Oprah, and that happens. Or maybe Jerry Springer or something, I don't know. one of those shows. But now, Nine Lives, you got it done, it's out. What can you tell us what the basis of the book is?
Yeah, Nine Lives is a mystery at heart. I would probably classify it as like a psychological thriller.
Right.
The main character itself in the book finds out through no fault of his own that he has come about with some immortality, and how he finds out about that is part of the mystery of the book itself. And also, the book itself is his journey, in fact, of how he deals with it. on a day-to-day basis with his life, his family, everything that's happening around him, and also the spirit world, which because it does have a paranormal angle to it. The spirit world, he relates to the spirit world now since he's gotten this immortality. He finds out that the spirit world, or at least part of the spirit world, is not happy about his newfound immortality.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. And when did you when was the book published?
The book was published July of 2008. So it was a little over a year at this point.
Okay, and it's been received well, from what I understand.
It has been. My publisher and everything, we're trying to get it into the larger bookstores as of right now. But that's kind of a process unto itself. I'm also working with, right now I'm working on not exactly a follow-up, but a second novel, along in the same genre and so forth, and we'll see what happens with that.
Well, let me ask you, 9 Lives is done. You guys are trying to get the distribution to the major, bookstores across the nation, but you've been doing well where it's distributed now. Now, 9 Lives itself, are you opposed to, let's say, a screenwriter coming in, or that turning into a movie at some point?
Oh, not at all. I'd be thrilled. In fact, I think it actually reads very well as a story. I guess the only way to explain that is that while I was writing it, because part of the aspect of the story was that I didn't know a lot about the mechanics, so that I visualized, each scene, as a visual picture itself and what would actually, physically be happening, rather than, with, literally, with words and so forth, more or less pictures. So it actually reads more, visually when you're going through it. I think more than an actual piece of literature itself, and that's how I visualize it. So I would be thrilled if somebody would take that approach.
Well, I mean, just the storyline of the book. I mean, it seems that that's something that can be made into a great movie, even if an independent movie director came in, a producer came in and wanted to work with you. You'd be open to speaking to them, right?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to let just to make that clear with our listeners, because sometimes we do have listeners that are producers, directors, independent, and also major production companies that we'll answer that question before they ask. Now,
no problem.
Yeah, now you spent most of your life in Western Pennsylvania, and this is what I find interesting. You're a graduate. What, did you graduate at Pitt?
Yes.
Nice. Well, it's no secret that I am probably one of the largest Pittsburgh Steelers fans on the planet, as well as being a Pitt fan. So, go Panthers.
Right.
So I figured I'd throw that in there while I have the opportunity. Yeah. So this is all great. Now you're working on, you're beginning to work on a second book now, right?
That's correct. I'm probably better, than halfway through the second novel right now. Okay. The manuscript at this point.
Yeah, I keep saying book, but it's actually a novel. But then again, I'm not an author, or I should use the right terminology. So novel. Now, without giving too much away from your latest, is it along the same lines as 9 Lives, or is it something different, or? Maybe
and the genre, as far as the theme and everything, it still deals with the supernatural.
Okay.
It's a little different in the fact that it actually is written in first person rather than narrative, so to speak. It does take a sort of one of the characters from 9 Lives and takes off on its own story. It's not really a sequel to 9 Lives. You could read either of them without having any additional information or overlapping information on it. So it's really a story unto itself. It just so happens that out of 9 Lives, I had this one character that had a small part, and I wanted to explore that a little further and, create something. So as the way that I'm looking at it right now, this actually is going to be the first book of a sequel, going on that. And it, the main character itself that I'm writing in first person is actually a 27-year-old female who is a psychic, and that's where the sequel is going to start.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I know you look at Stephen King, and most of his books were turned into movies. And I mean, of course, he's I guess the king of suspense or horror writings and things of that nature. But just what I'm looking at with Nine Lives and what you're doing, if you are able to take it from book to film, I think that you may share. I mean, even if you share a portion of the success that he has, even 10% still puts you out there as a massive success in this business.
Yep, Lou, I think 10%. I think anybody would take 10%.
Yeah, I mean, anybody take 1%. But I was just trying to, just trying to put it out there, because it does make sense. Because if you write something that is that intrigues the reader, and it keeps you kind of like glued to the book. Now, when you take that, you write a screenplay for it. Now, all of a sudden, it becomes real on screen or on the TV, and it's drawing people in. I can't even go through the whole list of Stephen King's work, but you're doing your own thing, so we're not going to talk so much about him. The reason I brought him up is because you're in the same, I guess, genre as he is, and I see he created a machine that works. So if a machine works, no reason to break it or try to reinvent it. So that
definitely was one of my biggest influences was originally his writing when I began reading him, and actually tried to copy a very readable, friendly type of style, as far as the wording in the book, wording of the descriptions and so forth. So definitely was a big influence.
Okay, excellent. Now, Frank, where can people get your book?
Right now, the quickest and easiest way to do that is via my website. There's a direct link to the publisher, and the website is www.franksay.com. Also, you can go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Borders.com, and just put in 9 Lives, and the book is listed under F. Say. First initial F as in Frank, and then Say, S-A-Y, and either one that will bring it up. There's several different novels out there with the same title, but just with the F period Say, that will bring up the one that you're looking for.
Oh yeah, I should have brought that up, because that's what you ink or your pen your books as F. Say. Okay.
Well, that's probably the first and only book that will actually have my first initial on there.
Confidence. I love it.
Day.
Confidence.
Yep.
The confidence came in. Good. What did you do that because?
Yeah. No, I don't want to be anonymous the rest of my life, so I figured I'll add in the rest of my first name too.
Yeah, there you go. So people know who you are. That they'll wind up bringing you on a show and saying, "F, how you doing?"
I know.
F.
That didn't work very well.
No, that's why we're going with the Frank thing, because I know that's the road you're going to go, because it just makes sense to use your name and get the credibility that the notoriety that you should be getting as you're moving forward, because I think that you have a great future in front of you as an author. I believe that any producer or director, that especially on the independent film and front, because not so much the big studios, because the big studios sometimes that there's something lost in translation, and the way you write your book is basically, or a novel, let me correct myself, novel, but the way you write it is you write it like that for a reason. And it's easier to work with an independent filmmaker for them to adhere to the I guess the core of what your writing is, or what your writings are, and it just keeps the integrity of your novel. And I think that would be a good thing. But now, see, your book your novel can actually be purchased on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Now, I guess, I mean, as far as online distribution, you have it, but you're actually looking to physically get it into certain locations that it's not in currently.
Uh, Always looking to get it in, the major retailers, throughout the nation and so forth, at this point. But, that's been a little bit of a slow process. This has all been a learning process. So, trying to catch up to the learning curve as it would be as far as, the whole marketing and promotion portion of it. That's probably another interview for another time, probably.
Yeah, no, for sure, because that's tough. Because I mean, writing is one part of it. When that's all said and done, it's great. It's like you have it. Now what? that's what I was like. Now what do I do? Now you got to market stuff. You got to get stuff out there. It's like, for all intents and purposes, you have to pimp yourself out in order to get your novels where they need to be and in front of the people that they need to be, and you want to get the media attention that you should be getting for what you're doing. Now, do you have any book signings lined up anytime in the near future?
Actually, I do. I have 3 between now and the 1st of November at Borders Books, local ones in the area. All this information is on my website as well.
Okay.
Last weekend, I was at a book festival, about 30 minutes ride from me in Pennsylvania. It's called the Bridgewater Book Festival, which is the 2nd annual festival that they have in this little quaint little town. And they basically the focus is just authors, local and regional, and even some national authors, and they had over 50 authors there, and it was a great time. It was the first large event that I've been to that had more than just myself and a stack of books to promote there, and got to meet up with not only other authors but other writing organizations as well. So all that information is on my website under the news portion of it. So if you want to find out what I'm doing, when and why, or where, and just go to the website. It will be on there.
And the website is franksay.com. franksay.com. You go there, find out all about Frank Say, what he's doing with 9 Lives. If you're in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania's a big state, but if you are going to be in the areas where Frank Say is having a book signing, I would urge you to go. Support what he's doing, meet and greet with him, because I just have a strange feeling that one more novel, and he's not going to be as easily accessible, because that does happen when you become, when your stuff gets out there. All of a sudden, right now, people are taking pictures, shaking your hand. You get something that really goes off the charts. You have a movie coming out with your book or something of that nature. You go to another plateau. So that's why I want our listeners to know that, because if you want to take the time to go meet and greet with Frank Say now, I would do that, because chances are, if you don't do it now while he's doing this stuff, you probably won't have a chance to do it later on. You probably have to wait on a long line, I think. I think that's the case. But Frank, is there anything else that you want to let our listeners know as far as what you have going on, or anything? Because this is about the time that we give the floor to our guests to speak about whatever they want to speak about. Maybe you can give some advice to someone that maybe is looking to pen a book. Maybe you can do that.
Probably my writing experience is I would say not does not fall down the typical path. Most authors that I know of have either studied English literature, journalism, writing somewhere in the past, and although I dabbled in all of that, my focus was never in that area, nor do I actually think it needs to be. If you have a love of the written word, and you feel that this is something you can do, the only way you're going to know if you can do it, is just do it. I mean, that's how I kind of went into mine, how I ended up with 9 Lives to begin with. The main thing about it is because it is such a different business than just just having, it's a little bit different than, I guess, having a garage sale by putting an ad in the paper and people show up, especially the writing process, finding a publisher, finding maybe an agent. What I did is, though, I listened to about 50% of all the advice that was out there and ignored the other 50% and just sort of put my head down and my horns, out forward and just kind of, plow through and, try not to let too much of the, advice or criticism get to me, because there's a lot of that out there as well. I'm speaking only for myself, but I just wanted, anyway, if I would have listened to the other half of what was going on out there, I'm sure Nine Lives would have never happened.
Oh, I believe that, and then it's interesting you bring that up because I should have brought that up earlier. If you had opposition, you had your family. Did you get support from your family when you were trying to do this? Did they think, oh, you're out of your mind, you think you're going to be an author, ha ha ha? Did you get that type of attitude? Because that does come up with anything, whether you're authoring a novel, whether you're getting involved in acting or modeling, or you're going to be an artist, or whatever the case may be. Something that's not your typical quote-unquote job, working in an office or becoming a doctor or a lawyer or being a blue-collar worker becomes foreign to people because it's risky. And risk breeds fear in people, and then they think that the person that's trying to do it is out of their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Were you faced with that within your family?
Not so much in my family, no. They said, well, if you think you can do it, that's great. Nobody had a clue. Everybody else was probably on the same page as I was as far as my family, as far as any knowledge of how to go about this. The opposition I got from was, other publishers, other, writers that I've, hooked up with online, and other groups and so forth. And, I, tried to take the advice, as well as I could. And as far as, what I felt, anything that was like an opposition to, saying that, you can't do this, that, and the other thing. Because the statistics, are not, if you know anything about the statistics as far as new books that come out each year, it's probably because of the way the media is now with self-publishing, e-publishing. There's probably 400,000 different titles that come out each year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, just think of Heinz Field, put about 8 of those together, each person with a book in their lap and holding it up, and then you kind of get the idea of how many books come out each year, and why the publishing, the publishing business is sort of like the Wild Wild West right now. It's definitely different than it was 10 years ago, and really different than it was 20 years ago. Things that used to work 10 years ago don't work anymore. Now, print ads have gone way to Facebook and Twitter, and so, if anybody says you can't do it because this, that, and the other thing, you have to kind of judge where they're coming from, what angle they're coming from. Are they coming from 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 20 years ago?
Right.
Just put your head down and get in there and do it. Because you may be able to make something out of it. If Nine Lives doesn't do anything more than what it's done right now, I consider it one of my larger accomplishments of my life. So hopefully, with that little bit of momentum, we can get the next novel going.
Yeah, but I think that, I'm glad that you said everything you said, because I want our listeners to understand that, granted, in the beginning of the show, we talked about, where you were and everything. Towards the end of the show, we kind of got deeper, and there's certain questions I should have asked earlier on, but I'm glad that I did ask it as far as the opposition, because in anything, people face opposition all the time. When you're trying to do something different that bucks the trend, or actually goes against the trend, but you're going against what is normal and what people see as a normal thing, people tend to look at you differently. Whether you're doing music and you say, okay, well, There's a million music people out there. You can't do anything. There are a lot of musicians out there. You're never gonna make it. It's a hard business. Oh well, you wanna write books? Okay, you can go do that. But you know what? You have all these authors out there. You're never gonna make it. Oh, you wanna do this? You're never gonna make it. You're never gonna do this. You're never gonna do that. Oh, you're gonna go work and do construction? Oh, that you can do that. Okay, not that there's anything wrong with working and construction and everything, but the point is, people have dreams. And if you allow people to steal your dream, then it's your fault.
Exactly right.
Okay, and you actually took something that really wasn't your dream initially, but then it's something that developed, but now you have a passion, and you're following that passion, and that's why I know you came out with 9 Lives. Your next novel is going to be better. The other one's going to be better, and then all of a sudden you become who you're working towards, and you don't even know it. And a lot of successful people that I've come across, and I have people on the show that are like that, what they're doing today is not what they initially set out to do. It's just something that happens in life because everyone is meant to do something. You just have to find your calling, and fortunately for you, Frank, that you found your calling. You're a writer. And there's nothing better than doing what you love to do.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay. All right, Frank, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I think you gave us some good insight as to who you are. 9 Lives. You can, again, our listeners can find that. Just go to franksay.com and go check it out. Looks to be an amazing novel. And you're giving us some insight at the end of the show, basic stuff on that can apply to anyone. Okay, not just authoring. I mean, just go for it. You want to do something, just discount what people say and just keep going forward. And you know what? If you fail, you failed on your own. That's okay. That's acceptable. But don't stop and don't fail because someone's telling you what to do. And that's the message that we have to put out there today. And I think that's pretty much what we did at the end of the show. And it was great to have that happen. Frank, I would like to have you back on the show later, maybe in a few months, or maybe when you're done with your next novel, have you back on to talk about it, to update our listeners and let them know what's going on in your world, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, though. I'm available anytime.
Okay, great, Frank. Thank you so much, and you have a great day. And again, our listeners, go to franksay.com, pick up a copy of 9 Lives. Do it. It's going to be worth it. If you have the opportunity to go down and see this great author and go meet with him, do it, because I'm telling you that it will happen sooner than later, that this guy is going to be, Frank Say is going to be a little bit, a couple of notches up on that mountain in the near future. And again, franksay.com, it's a place to go and find out more about him. And Frank, again, have yourself a great day.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.